So I'm going to cover leveraging your blog marketing. So a lot of us have websites. I'm going to cover some ideas on what you can do to get content for it, and then how you can leverage that. And I'll explain the story of how I've discovered this, and I think you'll be able to get a lot of actionable notes from it. We have, in our own portfolio, when I say we, I mean I, have about 2,000 websites, so we get a lot of data, and we have hundreds of customers in our SEO and web development business. So everything I'm talking about is practical, proven, tested, and I won't bore you with minutiae screenshots. This is me about 6 years ago. So I'm sure you can see a transformation going through there. My job used to be, I was going out to Mercedes-Benz dealerships as the general manager when they were losing money. If they were losing millions of dollars a year, Mercedes-Benz would make them hire me and send me out there to fix them up. And these were typically doing $50 million in revenue or $100 million in revenue. And over the course of 3 to 4 years, I would turn them around into profit businesses. So I've applied a lot of the things that I learned there into my business. So now I'm the only Australian employee of my business, and I have a team in the Philippines. And this method that I'm teaching you today is the only main marketing focus that I do for my whole business. And I'll explain why we got there. But the hardest steel is forged in the hottest fire. And this Mercedes job was tough. It was really tough, and it prepared me well for the internet marketing space. I went along to Underground 4. I didn't know a single person. I knew that I had to invest in good information, and I had to go straight to the coalface. I didn't get any food. I had no sleep. And I remember Yannick Silver gave out $100 and said, do what you can for $100 and tell us what you did tomorrow, and someone's going to win a prize. So I went back to my room at midnight, and I had this idea, and I started researching. And I found a school for the Royal Deaf and Blind Children. And I built a website. I made a video. I started an AdWords campaign seeking donations. And then I documented the whole thing and handed in a CD-ROM to the organizers the next morning. And it turned out I won access to Maverick from doing that. And then 6 weeks later, I was in Las Vegas with a lot of heavy hitters who sort of introduced me to a lot of the other people that gave me the information I needed. And 2 weeks after that, I quit my job. So events like this are where massive transformations happen if you want to apply yourself. So I was asked to share that story, and I think it's important. So I basically went from an employee to an entrepreneur, and I've applied all the same things that I learned from running the Mercedes dealership to the web business. So I kind of felt like I had the makings of the business, but it was all scrambled, and that's what a lot of people think about SEO in particular. I was running my own paid AdWords, so it was my cash out of the pocket, and everything that I learned was, through my own hard investment. I ended up making this map. We called it Traffic Grab. It was a hugely popular information product. We sold nearly 3,000 copies of it a few years ago. And a lot of parts were automated and systemized. However, there was a big change on the horizon, especially with Google. They had the Panda update, and that took out a lot of people from the business. And then there was Penguin, and then the most recent one. And then there was Hummingbird. Now, what this means to you is that the old SEO stuff doesn't really work. If you've been doing it right, then what you have been doing will probably still be okay. But Hummingbird is particularly interesting because it favors news and information and relevancy. So a lot of SEO businesses were finding themselves running out of options, like the old Tetris game when you're on the top level. It kind of sucks, right? And a lot of people out there were using spam bots and automation and shortcuts. I want to tell you, this stuff doesn't work. So in our business, we're like, what should we stop doing? And we got rid of anything that was automated, any sort of tools, any shortcuts, and we do everything by hand. We research, we write, we look up results, we submit everything by hand. It's a bespoke sort of service. That's why our SEO company is still posting 7 figures in sales, and a lot of our competitors have disappeared off the face of the earth. So this philosophy that I came up with was own the race course, because there's this huge error being committed out there, and perhaps you're doing it. I call it the convenience deception. This is where you put all your best content on someone else's platform. You upload everything to Facebook, you build your whole business on YouTube, and then something will change. It won't be long until Facebook goes into the search business, or people don't like Google anymore, or they decide that your particular product is not something that they want to be giving a reward to, and they retrospectively change the rules. It's kind of an impossible game. You don't know what's coming. So it's time to decide whether you're a hunter or a farmer. Are you out there for the quick kill? Do you want to put up stuff on other people's platforms, or do you want to harvest and put out seeds and water them and fertilize them and let them grow strong and have that asset that you can continually reap the benefits from? I mean, it's hunter or farmer mentality out there. And when I was in Cabo recently, I saw these little turtles, and they take the eggs and they bury them in the sand and they wait, and then when the right date comes, they crack them open with gloves and masks on, and then they let them find their way to the sea. And I think only 1 in 100 survive still, but if they didn't do that, they'd be extinct. We need to look after our prospects and our customers like little baby turtles. Or as my old mentor would say, like Grange. Grange is an expensive red wine in Australia. It's about $700 a bottle. And the thing is, if you're making Grange, it's very hard for someone to compete with you. They can't just come out with another version of Grange tomorrow. This takes 20 years to make. The guy that was making this stuff was making it in secret. His boss specifically told him, "Stop making wine, Max. It's terrible wine." But he persisted in the basement, and then he entered it into a competition, and it won. And then the boss said, well done, Max. I always knew you'd be making that wine." But here's what I found. Doing this approach, I have nearly a third of my customers or prospects are opting in 12 to 30 days after they visited my site for the first time. So if you want to do the old club the baby seal over the head approach of marketing, you're missing out on probably a third of the potential. If you want to do the very manipulative, forceful traffic things, you may see an increase in opt-ins today. However, what's it really costing you? Also, a lot of my customers or prospects will look at more than 12 pages before they opt in. So this content strategy is really good, and all of us have the ability to create content. So my main point is you need your own platform. Let's assume we're there with that. You need probably to have WordPress, and it should be on the fastest hosting that you can get. We have a dedicated server. We actually provide services to other people, but when we take our customer sites from our development server and put it back on their shitty reseller server, it goes from loading in 1 second to loading in 8 or 9 or 10 seconds. It's a conversion and an SEO killer. So your big takeaway is make sure you have a fast loading website. And make sure it works on any device. Most people multi-screen. Around 90% of people will use at least 2 different screens in the same day. So the whole idea is we're putting rich content on our site. And then we're going to drive people on our site to our offer. And we're going to build up a database. And then here's ways that I'm catching emails. I'm catching emails in the header bar on every page. I'm catching them with a sidebar banner that leads to a squeeze page, which I'm using lead pages for. And then there is this floating thing that comes up, which is called, I'll actually give you the name of it in a sec. But those things get the most opt-ins on my site. And then we drive that traffic to subscriptions and products. So far, this one site generates sales of a little over $2 million in revenue at around half that in profit for this one site. And doing this, I don't need to do launches. I don't need affiliates. I don't even need paid advertising. It's like all optional. Just by having a regular routine of putting this stuff out, you can drive enough business off a small database. Now, we're going to find out later today that how you can drive massive sales off paid media, and all that stuff's excellent on top of this. So the main action I want people to do is to go to the products page. And on my products page is a problem solver that helps people find what they need to buy. And it's like a choose your own adventure. And these all count for page views, and page views are helpful for the SEO experience because they're moving from that page that they come in on into another page, and that says to Google, hey, this stuff's pretty interesting. We've moved through now. We haven't gone back to the search to have a look, so it's deemed relevant. Your bounce rate comes down. So I'm getting a blend of traffic from direct branding because I'm continually pushing the name of the site, plus I'm getting this organic traffic, and then I'm also driving traffic from Facebook, and I'm going to show you how. This also works if you're an affiliate. I make sales every single day for products. They just come in every single day. In fact, I've had 49 six-figure months in a row so far just from this content marketing strategy. And this is all I've been doing for almost the last 2 years, just this one. So Ezra started on his e-commerce store, and he added another 1,500 to 3,000 a week just from doing this. So it works for different stuff. Now, in combination with this, we're doing podcasting. And it might sound big and scary, but when I mentioned podcasting last night at dinner, everyone had their phone out taking notes. You have to be podcasting. If you have an iPhone or a smartphone, you have the ability to listen to them, which means your audience has the ability to listen to them because they all have the device that you can deliver your content on. So I'm nearly up to 1 million downloads, but I'm getting around 65,000 a month. If you think about how hard it is to get 65,000 visits, then you realize it's quite valuable when someone's committing to putting you in their ears for 30 or 40 minutes or 5 minutes even. The bounce rate on some of my pages are like 5 or 6%. That means it's relevant. It means Google's paying attention to that, and it's rewarding my website. So after a year of doing this, I had nearly 5,000 pages indexed in Google that were not there. And every index page is another opportunity for someone to find me. This is the stability that's showing. This is through Penguin and Panda and Hummingbird. It's a very steady, consistent, gradual increase. So where do you get ideas from? People say, where do you get ideas? What could I put on my blog? So we had some clues yesterday, some fantastic ideas on how to make content that gets shared. My suggestion is go to your top 10 customers. Just pull up your accounting software or go to your accountant and say, who are our biggest top 10 customers, and get on the phone or take them to coffee or meet with them and just talk to them. They will tell you everything that you could ever possibly think to blog about or to create videos about. Change your no reply at email to reply at. And just put a PS, I reply to emails personally. People will ask you everything you could ever need to know to be able to create content. Because if one person's asking it, there's at least 100 people thinking it. Depending on the size of your list, it could be 1,000 or 10,000 people. This is probably the single best strategy that I have. Also, go to your help desk. I go to my team, I say, team, can you send me an email every week of what people ask us over and over again, because I want to make a video about that. So I come up with stuff like, what is the difference between this product and that product? Or why should your website load faster, etc. Also, just go to Google and type in your phrases and see what comes up on the bottom of the page, because Google is telling you that's what they think is related to this particular phrase. Also, incorporate current events. So when the America's Cup's on, if you happen to be in San Francisco, go there and get a picture and do a piece around it. I did one about sporting mindset. New Zealand were winning, and then they lost by a huge comeback. And it was a good story for my audience. So I take current affairs and I sort of latch onto it like newsjacking. Also, take the best material from your paid courses. I teach people, in fact, I shared with Ezra how I structure content, and he turned that format into his brown box formula for the e-commerce launch that Ryan's company released. So I was helping him with that. I literally took a photo of my whiteboard, sent it to my team to illustrate, and this post keeps getting brought back up into my Facebook line. People keep resharing it because it's really helpful for speakers, experts, authors who want to turn their information into money. Also, figure out what you admire, what you dream about. I wanted to go to Maranello and drive a Ferrari at the Ferrari factory and visit the museum. So of course I go and make a marketing video about brand values. It's all tax deductible, and you get to do what you want, and you just got to take a little bit of video while you're there. Does that make sense? Also, ask people why they just bought something when they buy something. So send a little follow-up saying, I'm just curious why you purchased blah, blah, blah. Whatever they say, is a good video or audio or podcast that you can put out there. Have a look in your analytics, but I'm going to share this really cool thing. I have Google Analytics email my team every week. We've set a search for anything that is versus or compare or any kind of question, and it sends us a spreadsheet with all the phrases that people used and then found our site for, and then we optimize our tags and titles. So these are the sort of things people are typing in on my site and into Google and arriving at my site for, and all I need to do is go down the list and say, which one of those would I like to make a video about, and that is perfectly relevant for my audience. And go to live events. I could garner more information at an event like this, just sitting at dinner or talking at the bar. I could come up with the list of 100 topics to talk about. So is this resonating with you so far? Okay, so then you've got to prepare your content. You've got ideas. I just use Evernote, like this giant filing cabinet. And then I prioritize it. And when you prioritize your ideas, start with the general ideas and then narrow it down. So rather than talk about an obscure Samsung model phone, talk about smartphones or maybe iPhones if they have a bigger market share, and then sort of go narrow. So lead with your big topics and then make sure it's relevant. This is your checklist, and that it has context to your audience. Because sometimes you think something's amazing, but your audience don't resonate with it. Make sure it solves a problem. That's always a popular thing. That's why you'll see, we did yesterday, we saw how to is a popular headline. A lot of my posts are how to. I use a chocolate-coated carrot approach. This is how I get away with giving people what they need, but it looks like what they want. So the carrot gets dipped in chocolate. They're buying the chocolate, but they get the carrot. So coming up with a compelling headline, the classic one is sales training. Everyone thinks they need closing, but what they really need is to understand investigation and opening. Then you have to produce the content. So I'm going to give you a few tips for this one. I do a lot of content. I guess it's pretty much my only job. My main job, if you think about it, is to travel around the world, whether in live or on Skype, and to speak to people and hit record, or to pop on a camera, pull out a microphone, make a piece of content every day or so. So I'm probably making one piece of content per day. That's my smart number in my business. If I can put one piece of content per day, I will continue to generate a 7-figure profit. Put your hand up if you think you could create one piece of content per day for a 7-figure profit. Right, so that's most people. Now, podcasts are so good. I've had 4 number ones in a row in the Australian business marketplace, and a lot of them are now rising in the US market. And Ezra and I do one called Think, Act, Get. But doing a podcast is simply applying once to Apple iTunes with the appropriate artwork cover, and you use a plugin on your website called Blueberry. And once you submit it once, from then on, anytime you put a media file with the audio on your post, it will pick it up automatically. And it starts pumping into people's homes on their Apple TV. And your show is going to show up underneath everyone else's show. So your podcasting strategy is simply see who else's show pops up under yours and start targeting them for advertising, start getting on their show, get them on your show, and you can work the whole iTunes marketplace. So with my 2 shows there, and I've got 3, I'm actually getting a big viewership. And as traditional TV crumbles and people go for their in-home, on-demand stuff, I can tell you that podcasting is so strong. So to do podcasting, all you need, you could spend $60 for a Rode Smart Lav, which you can take anywhere. That's what I use on a trip like this. I'll be making videos and audios everywhere with just that and an iPhone or an iPad or a MacBook. You can have a shotgun mic or a USB mic or a portable digital recorder. That's about it. This is what a podcast would look like, just like the blog. You've got the episodes, and then you have your call to action. Ezra and I managed to sell a retreat to Hawaii off our podcast that we only started in January, and we had people paying $3,000 per ticket to come to Hawaii for us to do yoga and go surfing and talk about their business. Does that sound like a good job? Yeah. All right. Camera-wise, you can get by with an iPhone or an iPad mini. All I'm using on this trip is an iPad mini and a Rode Smart Lav mic with a little windsock if I'm outdoors. So the equipment side of it, that's probably less than $600 or $700. Everybody here probably has at least half of the components right now. If you're doing a lot of stuff at home, get a Logitech C920. It's a high definition, a 1080p, or use a DSLR camera like I do at home. So this is the iPad mini. This is down at the beach, and that's what you're going to see. And then I use one app called Tilt Shift Video, and that will give you a blurry background and replicate a 50mm lens. And you can put vignettes and adjust the contrast, so it's on-the-fly editing for your iPad mini. Do you like that tip? It also works on iPhone. So that is all I will use for editing. Lighting is really important, as is sound, so get yourself just a simple 3-light kit at home, and get yourself a remote control. I have a flip-around lens on my Canon 60D, so I can take videos myself. I can autofocus, start and stop, and I can spit out a 5-minute videos in about 5.5 minutes. I've got so good at it now after doing it for a year and a half, I can do them all in one take, and I don't even get bloopers anymore. It's disgraceful. Put a title on your videos so that people know what they're in for and they don't have to go pogo sticking. That's where they go into the video, they don't like it, and they go out. You want them to see what they're up for in advance. So some video ideas. This video was controversial. I was showing people my new studio setup, sort of going for the Eben Pagan look, just a black felt background, a Mac on a stainless desk, and someone said, "Is that poo on your t-shirt?" Like, yeah, I always wear t-shirts with poo on them for my videos. It's a print. So this led to a, should I wear casual clothes and be unshaven, or should I wear a shirt? You know, so put out voting to your customers. They love to have an opinion. Every time I've done it, which book cover should I use for my book? They all put in their thoughts. So I made a video, should you shave? I put you, because I know people are more interested in them than me. And I did a video with me in my hoodie, not shaven, and then my bare feet. I put a little B-roll. That's where you just take a roll of something else and put it in there for a bit of fun. And then me without a shirt, and then me with a proper shirt and shaved, and I asked them to vote. What I found out about that is that people who don't know me will discredit me for being unshaven and dressed sloppily. And people who do know me don't care what I wear because the content's good. So I had 300 shares on that, and just for a little blog that I started last year, that was a nice start. Certainly not in the millions, but it's a good start. So now I've got like a little replica Ralph Lauren display at home. I just actually lay out shirts, and then I'll put one on, make a 5-minute video, put it back, get the next one, and I can make 12 videos in about 2 hours. And then when I'm editing, it's so much easier because I can see a different colored t-shirt and, oh, that's that video or this one. You like that tip? Use anything that you can. Utilize. It's good to utilize. I utilized this whole presentation. I got the gig at 1 a.m. this morning. But utilize. So we had this storm. I used this metaphor of the storm for your business. You can't prepare for everything. So I'm out there like the roving reporter. Like, I'm here live at the scene. My trampoline's been demolished. And people like this stuff. It's really interesting, and it's not like your normal boring, cheesy marketing thing. I went to an event in Santa Barbara, and on the way back from the hotel to the airport to pick up my hire car, I shared a cab, and this guy in the cab was still there when I went to get the car, and I got some money from the ATM, and I got a coffee, and he's like, "Hey, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm driving back to Los Angeles." And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, I'm just going to catch a bus." And I said, "Do you want a lift?" And he said, "Sure." I said, "Okay, on one condition." Here's what. I said, "Did you take notes at the event?" He said, "Yes." I said, "Right, we're just going to record a podcast on the way back down." Is okay. So I don't even know the guy's name, by the way. It's not really that important. And so we hop in the car, and I tricked him a bit. I went up to the wrong side to hop in, and oh shit, the steering wheel's on the other side. And he was looking a little bit squeamish. And I was just messing. Oh no, it's all a little bit unfamiliar, and I just did a little. I mean, I used to test drive cars for a living. Like, I was messing with him. But anyway, that little fluffy thing that you see hanging down, it's not one of those cool fluffy dice. That's just the mic. You just wrap it around the the visor and just talk and hit record on the iPhone. So we recorded this on the fly. We published it. It's been listened to about 2,500 times, and that is a drive I was doing anyway with a complete stranger, and I utilized his notes from the event because I didn't take any. And now we had this great piece of content. By the end of the drive, I figured out his name, and he's famous now. Also, everywhere you go as a tourist on your adventures, usually they'll have professional videoing options. So they film the Ferrari drives in the car. You just get the $5 or whatever it is, $15. Just grab it and then splice that into your video. I have my kids holding the camera all through Europe, and they're like, their arms are tired, and I'm shrinking down with them. The audience will forgive you if it's not perfect. Make sure on your YouTube channel that you tell people to subscribe. There's an option to have that placeholder video. All right, so if you don't want to go on camera, just use Keynote or PowerPoint. Record with Camtasia or ScreenFlow, depending if you're PC or Mac. Put your stuff in Dropbox and have someone else edit it, is my tip. There's this great app called Auphonic, and this will replace a sound engineer. No offense, if I lose sound in a minute. But this is sponsored by the Austrian government. You load up any video or audio, it will balance and level, it'll adjust multi-speakers, it can tell the difference between sound and voice, and you can even chapterize and put artwork, and it will actually, I can record on my iPhone and hit save, and it goes up to the cloud, does all this, and then it's dropped into Amazon S3, ready for my team to cut and paste into the post. It can even top and tail with an intro and outro. Does that sound cool? And how much is this? Free. That is my kid flicking the bird for Google Earth. I just wanted to put the slide in there. You've got to use lots of pictures. People are visual. Vision is visual. So my team mess around with me, and they distort me into all different shapes and sizes. But the customers laugh about it. Every time we podcast with someone, we make a funny picture about them. We put it up on our Pinterest page, linking back to the site. Pinterest is a good link to have to your site. People like Pinterest, but also you share it on your Facebook wall, and guess who likes to share it? The person you interviewed. And if they happen to have a big list, like a Pat Flynn or Derek Halpern, then they're going to share that with their audience. So that's why I don't need an affiliate program, because people will promote me for free. Have a good illustrator on hand. So my artist, I will send them a picture from that day, and the next day on my site will be an illustrated version of it. So one side of that's a picture and one side's a photo. Pretty good, huh? In fact, when we put pictures like this up, the most common question I get is, what software does your team use? Because they can't imagine you can have it the same day. So my team will produce pictures every single day. We do it for us, we do it for customers, but having an on-team designer or illustrator is a really good investment for your content team. It's one of the best investments you can make. Now I'm going to show you a little picture hack. If you don't want to carry around a DSLR camera, if you're not super talented, you can take pictures like this. I took this on the ferry on the way to my event in Sydney. This one is from my house at Manly, and this one, it's a double rainbow, man. This one from Cabo, and this one in Hawaii. Have a look at the person in the background. I think that's really cool. Jumping can cause serious bodily injury or death. And I was there like 3 minutes later. Food, people love food for some reason. Boots, anything interesting. These are Dory Friend's boots. She's famous now. She's mortified. So I'm having a chat to Dory. I say, do you mind if I take a picture of your boots? She's like, yeah, okay. So I take a picture of the boots. That's Bob. He's my little cockatoo. He comes around to visit every day. And we have long chats on the balcony. That's normal, right? So anyway, I'm using this app called Camera Plus, and it will turn pretty much any shitty picture into something amazing. And people all the time, they say, where do you get these amazing shots from? What gear are you using? I'm like, iPhone, dude. So if you have an iPhone or a smartphone, you have a content creation device. You can take video, you can make audios using Auphonic, you can take amazing pictures. Use your content creation device. Use it while you are here. Make sure you do it all your corresponding media, your Google+, your Twitter, your Facebook, your fan page. Now, you don't have to use your own videos. I borrowed someone's video. I found this documentary of a car manufacturer, and it made everyone cry. So I went and got it from YouTube. I put it on my site using Lead Player, where I can still embed my opt-in into the video, and shared that. And I got lots and lots of comments and discussions on someone else's video. It took me 5 minutes. Always transcribe your audios and your videos, at least into show notes if you don't want to get a full transcription, but it'll cost you maybe $1 a minute. So an hour long is going to cost you $60, but a lot of people like to read, and they don't want to watch the video. They don't want to listen. Always take an audio version of your videos if you can. So whenever we put a video, we put the audio. The audios get listened to twice as much because people are jogging, running, taking their exercising, doing something with the kids. They can't watch a video, but they can listen. Then you publish this stuff and then promote it. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple of tips here. Make sure you go for all the known social stuff. We heard yesterday having that stuff early is a good idea. You want to be able to have people sharing your content. You want to put your stuff out there. So when you publish your post, then manually, this is what I do, I manually go to Facebook and I make something relevant for Facebook. I manually go to Pinterest and it automatically goes to iTunes. I manually go to Google+. I just click on the little icons on my own post and I customize it for that medium. It's important to customize for each medium. And I noticed that 10% of my opt-ins have some kind of social interaction regardless of what traffic source. Put tweetables to make it easier for people just to click one button and then it goes on the Twitter stream. So I see this stuff all the time. It's really good when someone buys something. Have it on your download page. You want to syndicate to the main sources. You don't need all the sources. Pick the ones that work for you. Track, test, and measure, of course. This is the octopus method. The head of the octopus is your site, and all the tentacles are the different places that you bring people in. So remember, we've stopped publishing on everyone else's platform. We're now publishing on our platform. When you post to Facebook, remember to remove the URL and type over it with a headline instead. Okay, it's nice and clean. Go to the upstream sites of your site. You could go to alexa.com and see where people are coming from before your site and make sure that if you can advertise there or if it's your own site that you optimize it and measure everything. So the best opt-in is the header, followed by the thing that activates when people are engaged, and I'm using Dream, Grow, Scroll Triggered Box for that. And the banner on the sidebar leading to a tested squeeze page I found more effective than an inline opt-in. Finally, you're going to get a lot of brand searches for your design. If you make sure people know about your brand, if you put the money into logos, I think branding is valid. Putting thumbnail images halved my bounce rate for posts, so put pictures everywhere. And put a really nice long video for people to get when they join your program or when they opt in. Take voice recordings using SpeakPipe and put your listeners into your podcasts. Take all their questions, then answer them, and then put it out for all your audience. Speakpipe.com. And remember, when people opt into your email, ask them to subscribe to all your other social media. I call this a list guarantee. When you send emails, put a picture of what they're going to see on the post so that they're getting that promise extended. And I found that you can get a very high opt-in offering people the transcription as a PDF download in the post. We're getting, at the moment, 53 to 60% opt-ins on those posts because it's super targeted and you can tag people with their relevant interest. Use discuss commenting or something like that. It's really engaging. It works across all different platforms, and they can subscribe via email, and they can see their comments when they're commenting on different places. Once they've logged in once, you've captivated your audience. So I highly recommend that. Remember, when you publish people's stuff, tell them about it so they can promote, and take all your best posts and digest them, and then do a weekly post. So you're like double dipping. Remember to put your remarketing cookie. Once people visit your site once, you should be able to follow them up. So I'm going to leave you with a final ninja tip here. I used to have them, when they click on the next button, that would tag people and send an autoresponder sequence. But I've moved on now. So this is what they'll get. Something like, hey, were you still interested in the blah, blah, blah? Here's that link again. This thing boosted my sales about 20%. But now what I do using Office Autopilot and Wistia is when they click on the play, I'll send them a different message depending on how much of the video they watch. And I'm using Wistia and Fused app for that. Fused app will talk to GoToWebinar or Wistia. If they watch half the video or more, you can send them to the next video. Say they watch half or less, send them back with a different messaging to maybe a different version of it or back to the same video. Don't try and do it all yourself. That's a rookie error. Your time's more valuable. And once you get someone else doing it, life becomes a lot easier. So I'll give you some sage advice from Spider-Man, but I'm going to give it a twist, right? We all know the saying that with great power comes great responsibility, right? Yes, no? Wait, yeah, I know it's early. So what if we invert that? With great responsibility comes great power, right? So I'm just going to leave you this action item. Be responsible for your own marketing. Get that content out there. I challenge you to create some piece of content while you're here, whether it's a picture, an audio, or a video, using the smartphone you already have and the tools that we shared today, and publish it and share it in the Zentrepreneur group. That's what I got.